Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. Genesis chapter 23. A little bit of a sad one, and a short one, but we got a bridge to chapter 24, and this is simply what's left over, and it's pretty significant. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Chapter 23. Sarah's lifetime. The span of Sarah's life came to 127 years. Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, now Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham proceeded to mourn for Sarah and to bewail her. Then Abraham rose from beside his dead and spoke to the Hittites, saying, I am a resident alien among you. Sell me a burial site among you, that I might remove my dead for burial. And the Hittites replied to Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my lord, you are the elect of God among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial places. None of us will withhold his burial place from you for burying your dead. Thereupon Abraham bowed low to the people of the land, the Hittites, and he said to them, If it is your wish that I remove my dead for burial, you must agree to intercede with me with Ephron, son of Zophar. Let him sell me the Cave of Machpelah that he owns, which is at the edge of his land. Let him sell it to me at the full price for a burial site in your midst. Ephron was present among the Hittites. So Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the Hittites, all who entered the gate of his town, saying, No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it. I give it to you in the presence of my people. Bury your dead. Then Abraham bowed low before the people of the land and spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If only you would hear me out. Let me pay the price of the land. Accept it from me, that I might bury my dead there. And Ephron replied to Abraham, saying to him, My lord, do hear me. A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? Go and bury your dead. Abraham accepted Ephron's terms. Abraham paid out to Ephron the money that he had named in the hearing of the Hittites, 400 shekels of silver, going at the merchant's rate. So Ephron's land in Machpelah, near Mamre, the field with its cave, and all the trees anywhere within the confines of that field, passed to Abraham as his possession in the presence of the Hittites, of all who entered the gates of his town. And then Abraham buried his wife Sarah in the cave of Machpelah, facing Mamre, now Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Thus the field with its cave passed from the Hittites to Abraham as a burial site. We've seen the Hittites quite a bit in this chapter. Now, there's a difference between the historical Hittites and the biblical Hittites. Historically, the Hittites were a warlike people based in around the Turkish peninsula. They frequently clashed with Egypt, so Abraham knowing the Hittites may seem logical, but the biblical Hittites are entirely different people. And indeed, it's telling us that the Hittites are Canaanites, who, if you remember, God has said are not allowed to be there, and Abraham is kind of hanging out there. But he's not really totally mixing with them. He's honoring them, and they are honoring him. They're saying, you're a man of God, and we understand that's an important thing. And he's begging them. He's bowing before them, saying, let me pay money. I need this to be my property. This needs to be a foundation that I'm working with. Now, the Hittites are important in the Bible. As a matter of fact, this is Genesis. We're going to see them in Kings. We're going to see them in Chronicles. Hittites hang around for a long, long time. And since they are Canaanites, yeah, they're not supposed to be there. At least not according to the narrative we have from the Canaan story. We do see the passing of Sarah, the second woman ever to speak in the Bible, the second woman ever named in the Bible, and it is sad. It would obviously be sad, but that is unfortunately the catalyst that is needed. Let's look a little bit further at this negotiation, if you want to call it that. The Hittites seem awfully happy to have Abraham there. Again, he's not a simple shepherd. He has 400 shekels of silver. And 400 shekels of silver at the merchant's rate. This is an important thing. The most ancient kings and records that we can find are basically about standardizing measurements. Just like in modern days, we're always trying to get the kilogram exact, the pound exact, all these things to exactly define them. So that way there's no argument between two people about what constitutes what. So the inclusion that it's at the going merchant's rate shows that they're doing this as a legal transaction. And indeed, this shows that the Cave of Machpelah and the land surrounding it was legally transferred to Abraham. It became the foundation of the Israelite people, the Jewish people. We know Hebron, where it is in the present day. The rest are a little bit fuzzy, but at the same token, we have the full negotiation happening here. Abraham goes to all those who pass within the gates of the city. Now, this time, the definition of a city might be, let's just say between 1,000 and 10,000. It's not a city as we would think of it today, just a cluster of settlements and a lot of people there. Abraham would have been one of the richest people in the city, and had he accepted the land as a gift, there's this idea in the ancient world, and indeed in the modern world, of, kind of tit for tat. You do a favor for me, I do a favor for you later. And Abraham is saying specifically, no favors. This land is going to be mine. I'm going to buy it. Lock, stock, and barrel. There's going to be no arguments. We're going to find that once Abraham has passed on, his son Isaac winds up wandering around precisely because this kind of arrangement wasn't made. So what we're seeing in this is a legal contract being drawn up for the sale of land. The two haggle over the price, including the great line, 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? What's that between friends? That's kind of the way deals are still done to this very day. Now, 400 shekels would be a lot, but we've seen Abraham as a pretty well-to-do guy. He's got goats, he's got asses, he's got she-asses, he's got male and female servants, and he's gotten presents of gold and silver from the king of the Hittites and the pharaoh of the Egyptians. 400 shekels of silver probably is a drop in the bucket for this guy. But you see two wealthy people, one with a lot of land, one with a lot of money. But the interesting question is, why is this cave so important? Why did he like that cave? Probably significance to it, but unfortunately, since no one knows where the Cave of Machpelah is today, we're never going to know. We're never going to be able to go and find out what happens there. Although apparently several of the patriarchs and matriarchs are buried there. At one point, it must have been something pretty impressive. However, unfortunately, in the modern day, that knowledge is lost to us. Who knows? Maybe the right shepherd boy will stumble across it, just like they did with the Dead Sea Scrolls. Negotiating a contract is never easy, and this is actually kind of painless. Abraham, using his powers as an orator and being very, very respectful to the locals, arranges everything. Admirable for Abraham, and even more admirable to the Hittites, because remember, not long ago they were trying to get him out of the land, and here he is buying the land to say, this is part of what I own, and I own it legitimately. Boy, does that have echoes in the modern days, or more specifically, in the before 1949 in the Holy Land. But I'm not going to get into politics at this time. We wish to thank you for joining us for the Silverlight Show. If you enjoyed this show, please like, share, and subscribe. We hope you have a fantastic day.